Hello, you're here with T.
And Matthew.
And we have a very special guest with us today. My boy, known him what seems like forever. It's Najua Ward. I have to be specific and pull out the whole government, but Najua Ward is in the building with us today.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Nice to be here. Yes. So first off, I just want to get into Harlem. You know, we're both from Harlem. We grew up in Harlem, and I feel as though Harlem has a lot to do with, you know, our upbringing and how we understand things, how we perceive things when we go to other places. Now, what would you say? Because Harlem has changed quite a bit in my eyes. What would you say one of the biggest changes has been in Harlem?
One of the biggest changes that has happened to Harlem, I would say, obviously, the demographic of the individuals that live there. That has been a big change. And coupled with that is the landscape has kind of changed. There's still like iconic places that you recognize that haven't really moved, but in terms of like development, buildings, and all of this stuff, there's been a lot of renovation, especially like on like what would I say, the east side of Harlem.
Yeah.
The west side still kind of looks the same, but then again, the west side was always like, you know,
Yeah.
it was always the east side that was a little bit sketchy and has undergone a good amount of development. Yeah, those are the biggest ones for me.
I heard something.
Definitely.
Well, I read something recently about Manhattan in general, having like 13,000 vacant apartments. Like, you know,
Now?
when I left, and I left, and I mean, there's COVID and everything going on right now, so it's probably gotten worse. But when I left in 2011, right? Left New York 2011, and at that time it was even like crazy rent prices. You know, paying like $2,400 to live in the closet. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, it's still pretty nuts.
And I wasn't gonna really leave at first. At first, I was like, man, you know, I'm gonna stick this out. This is what I know. And then somebody told me the prices where I'm at now for rent and how much space I can get versus there, and I was left with no choice but to chuck the deuces up and go see what else there was. You know,
Right.
do you feel like that's do you feel like New York is, you know, losing its appeal to people right now? Or
Maybe because of COVID, but in general, no, I don't think so. As far as like its general appeal, no. Specifically for the natives of New York and the people who have lived here for like years and years, probably because of escalating rent prices and just, you know, a change of like the essence of what New York is. I feel as though a good amount of that is kind of being lost due to the fact of, you know, migrants coming in from different states, you know. And, not migrants, I mean transplants.
Right.
Yeah, it's just New York is New York. It'll always be New York, even back in like what, the 70s and 80s when Times Square was filled with like peep shows and all this other stuff. All right, people still wanted to be here. So I don't think that's really going to change. Mainly, mainly the natives might start moving out because it's becoming more expensive to live. You know.
Yeah, and another thing, like you said, New York will always be New York. It's just a matter of whose perception it is, you know. So an outsider may have a perception of New York, and then they come to New York and they're like, "Oh, I got to change up my attitude. Or I got to do this and do that because that's how New Yorkers do it." And I'm a New Yorker now, so I got to do it this way, you know.
Yeah, that's very true.
But like, you know, it might go from being like the big apple to just a small apple, you know. No, thanks to COVID, the
The
little
empty
apple
apple.
now. Right? The green apple, you know. Yeah. All right.
I have a question for you. How's it been in contrast moving out of New York
Yeah.
City?
Moving out of New York City was, especially with having a family, that was
Mm-hmm.
big for me because, if I was an artist in the city, it's probably where I want to be because, and if I didn't have the kids, then I'd probably want to be in the city just because, the hustle and bustle, that's what I'm used to. So like
Mm-hmm.
I could sit on the stoop and just watch things happen and, go and get involved in something on a whim. It's kind of outside of New York, you got to plan things out. You know, uh, to get to a store might take you 30 minutes, a 30-minute drive. You know what I mean? Like, so
Instead of
that
going to the
type of stuff.
corner.
Yeah, that type of stuff. And stuff doesn't stay open. Like when I was first told, like, oh yeah. So the store's right there. Okay, cool. It's not that far away. But it closes at 6. What?
You mean like
And
6
it's not
p.m.?
open, right? Like not open on Sundays, closes at 6. Like what type of stuff is that?
Isn't that the
But
most annoying thing? Like to go to a not a big city and being like, why is everything closed at
Mm-hmm.
in the middle
right,
of the afternoon? It's crazy.
It's like, what are you trying to do?
yeah.
Have a life? Take care of your family? Nah, son, you're
We
supposed to
don't do
raise a
that
family.
here.
You're supposed to raise a family in that store. Where's the cat? There's no.
Like, you don't have a cat on the bread? Come on, man. Goodness. Yeah, for real.
I mean, right now, like you were talking about, it's in such a state of changing. Like, Central Park a few years ago
Mm-hmm.
was like one of the most dangerous places to go to. Right now, it's one of the most safe. Do you think this is causing, like we talked about, a lot of people are moving out, a lot of people are moving in. Do you think it's causing a change to the culture of New York at all?
Yeah, I would say so. Back to what I was saying before, like a bit of the essence of what New York is being diluted to a certain degree. I remember a few years back. I don't know, Senor, you might be familiar with the place. I think it's in Queens. What was it like? The Points or 5 Points or whatever, where they have
Oh
like those
yeah,
where they used to have the graffiti murals, and the owner of it
yeah.
used to let artists go there and like paint all over the buildings and stuff like that. I think he ended up selling it, and then the new owner just took all that stuff down. So
Mm,
something within that realm.
right.
Um, yeah, and in terms of like people moving in and in relation to COVID, I think it's been like in the past few weeks, a lot of the individuals, or not a lot, but a good amount of individuals who had left the city or who could afford to leave the city because of the pandemic started like coming back in, and you see people complaining about this and that and yada yada yada. And I'm like, yo, you left and you came back to
Yeah.
people and you came back to people who couldn't leave, living their lives and make the best of the
Mhm.
situation. Don't complain. Just
Right,
enjoy the weather, the fact that you can go sit in the park and all this other stuff.
right.
Stop tripping.
Yeah. Well, how do you think that it is right now in terms of artistic expression? Do you think that it is more difficult in terms of artistic expression? Like you said, the new owner of the building took down all of they took
Hmm.
down the tagging up and the graffiti and whatever people wanted to put up. So their artistic expression is being hindered and basically erased, and that's kind of the feel of New York. But you know, how do
Um,
you feel about that?
let's see. I would say that it isn't really being suppressed to a point where it can't happen, because when it comes to New York City, this is very much so a metropolis of artistic expression and art and creativity. And there's always a way, and there's always some kind of form that it takes, or it shapeshifts, or there's a way for it to persevere and continue to keep on going. Because if you put enough people in a space that isn't too big, and there aren't a lot of opportunities, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, there's always going to be some kind of um, form of art or
Mm-hmm.
like imagery or something that's going to come out of that due to
Right.
like the living conditions, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Things come from struggle.
yeah, and I very much so feel that New York City is a prime example of that, and it has been a prime example of that for like decades.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and not even New York City. I guess you can do that anywhere who has like a similar kind of setup.
Mm. Mm. What do you think the building blocks are to really find that find what it is that you're trying to convey when you're an artist? Do you think that depends upon what genre it is? For example, um, when if you are modeling something, right?
Mm-hmm.
How is it that where do you find inspiration for your expression?
You talking about specifically the modeling?
Well,
Or
that's just an example, or in general,
oh,
like, what are the building blocks to finding the expression?
I would say it's an amalgamation of things. Honestly, it's been my experience is that it's not just one thing, and I'm very much so an individual who would encourage experimentation and looking into other avenues. So, say if you're a photographer, right? I think it's very plausible to pull inspiration from like mathematics or from architecture or from, just always be open and receptive to other things because you don't know what could spark inspiration or what can trigger your imagination to do whatever. And it can funnel its way back into your art somehow. It may not be like the most obvious, but like you can take bits and pieces from all over to manifest whatever it is you're trying to work on.
Interesting. Yeah, it's like having your antennas up and open for a whole bunch of different things. Like you want to be Piccolo.
Yeah, facts. But
You know?
yeah, I very feel like it's a combination of being receptive and like obviously whatever your upbringing is probably will be very influential on what your art is and how you choose to express certain things. And whatever your experiences are will tie back into whatever you're creating as well.
And then, so speaking of creativity, we got to get to the elephant in the room here.
Yo.
Right, I know. Watch your back. I don't want you to get trampled now. So how was it working on Blackish King, man?
How was it?
That's
Man.
awesome. First of all, shout out, respect. You got in there, did your thing. You're in there multiple takes. What or multiple occasions. What was it like working on Blackish King?
It was quite the experience.
Yeah.
First off, it was unexpected when I got there that's what it was for. So if I was to give you the whole setup as to how I got it, basically one day there was an individual who I'd only assume was casting for the project, and they left me a message on on a photo I posted of myself on Instagram. It was like, check your DMs. And I was like, it's kind of sketch and super vague. So I was like, whatever. I checked the DM and it was like, casting for a project for this big pop star. Didn't give a name, obviously. What's your email? And I'll send you over more information. Still kind of sketch, but I was like, hey, whatever. I've gotten legitimate jobs like this before. So I went along with it. I provided my email and then they sent me an email with equally as vague information saying video shoot for big pop star, yada, yada, yada. And I provided my name, some of my measurements for whatever clothes they would have. And then they gave me like the date and time. So I show up on the day. There's a good amount of individuals there being checked in as extras or what have you. All other young black men who are being, corralled into this room. We have to sign like paperwork. We have to check on our cell phones. And while we're waiting, like in the background, I can hear one of the songs off the soundtrack. But I'm not really paying attention because I'm kind of tired and I have my own headphones on. So I'm bumping to my own stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm kind of like dozing in and out of sleep waiting for them. So they bring us into another room and we start to shoot a scene. that's supposed to be like high energy, you know, jumping up and they're playing the songs and it's like, oh, you know, high energy, yada yada. We do a couple takes, and I think like on the third or fourth take, she just darts out into the middle of us. I turn around and she's like right in front of me. I'm like, oh. What? So this is what this is for.
Oh my!
And this is who it's for. Okay, I get it.
Yo, oh man, and Matthew, you know what that's like when you you know, having to go through similar situations with like
yeah. So I'm a professional actor, and you know, lately, you know, there's been so few jobs and stuff. I found myself doing background again. Right. And it's great. I mean, I enjoy doing it, but a lot of times, like you were saying, you know, you don't know what the project is. You get there and you see something, you're like, oh, wow, that's what this is for. And it can be a lot of fun, you know, get to work with a lot of famous people and stuff. So I totally know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. It was a trip for sure. And it was, I found it extremely funny as soon as she comes out and everybody, like, you know, gets over the initial shock of what it is. And then, like we do more. Yeah, we do more takes. Everybody's like doing this. They're trying to like dance in front of her and all this other stuff. And I'm like, the energy was here, and then it went to like up here. And then after a while, I kind of like fell back because I was like, I was trying to get an elbow in my chest. I was like, okay. I think we're gonna be here for a while, so you know what? I'll just fall to the back. Yeah, but it was cool. So like we ended up shooting some more stuff later in that day, which is also pretty great. And then at the end of the day, I think in general there's maybe like 60 guys that they had on the set for what we were doing. And then they called back like 15 of us for the second day. And I had the opportunity to come back on the second day and shoot some more stuff, which is where, like, if you've seen the film, like the part with like the powder, the red and blue powder, I was able to do that scene and some other things that I didn't see in the film, but hopefully they release it as like a BTS or something like that.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, anytime, look at that, Beyoncé just ran out in front of everybody like, yeah, you know, this is what I do normally, you know. Goodness gracious, she couldn't even go shopping for groceries like just on a normal day. She probably has to go with security and, you know, 60 people.
I don't even think she goes. They probably it gets brought.
Yeah, basically. Give you the grocery list and then that's it. Goodness gracious. Yeah, I'm sorry that you had to endure the people's elbow just to get a glimpse of Beyonce. You know. But I'm not saying it wouldn't happen if you know. I'm sorry that I would be the one doing it.
It's like, I want to dance by Beyonce.
I'll be doing my best stuff. What? Yeah.
I remember I was having like after it got released, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he was just basically like, "Yo, what does she smell like?" I was like, "Bro, I didn't get that close, but I would assume she smells like Beyonce." You know?
Good answer. Great answer.
It'd be like, it's the weirdest thing. She smelled like Shakira, not Beyonce. I don't even know.
It's like I was thoroughly confused.
Right. What she smell like? Yo. Speaking of Beyonce, let me give you a little history. I'll try to keep it PG. But this guy that used to be around back up there in Harlem, he was a big Beyonce fan, and he used to always talk about how he wanted to lick her feet.
Wait, who was this?
Yeah.
Oh,
his name starts with R. Yeah, I'm not gonna blow his spot, but his name starts with an R. I'll put that much out there. I'll tell you after.
Somebody's getting a divorce.
I don't think you have to worry about that. But
lick her feet. It's interesting. He's probably not the only person that. He's probably not the only person that will confess to that.
Oh yeah. ask the guy that asked you how she smells if he wants to lick her feet.
Maybe.
You know.
Turns out it was the same guy.
Right. I'm the fun. Yeah. So I know that before that you're a big anime fan, and I mentioned Piccolo earlier. Now is that still the case?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
All right.
I mean, who wouldn't want to watch anime? It's such diverse stories. I'm not really into the slice of life stuff. I like the shonen battle anime. You know, there can be drama, but there also should be explosions. Is what I believe.
Like DBZ, My Hero Academia.
Yeah, exactly. If I want to watch like regular drama stuff, I'll just watch regular shows. Anime is a realm where you can do a bunch of outrageousness and it still be like, believable within the context of the story.
Right, and not cost $10 billion.
Oh yeah,
blow up cars and
that's a fact.
So what anime, put you on the spot for a second, what animes would you recommend for the people to watch?
Recommend for the people to watch? Is this like if they're trying to get into it, or they're a seasoned vet? What do we do?
Well, if they're trying to what ones?
Let's make this easier. What are your top favorites and why? Let's do that.
Top favorites. Ooh, man, jeez. I would have to say, I would have to say number one. My favorite anime of all time that I've watched probably a bunch is Yu Yu Hakusho, because it's just
Spirit Gun.
Yes, I feel like it's timeless, and especially during like the Dark Tournament arc, the dynamic between Yusuke and Toguro. A1, top notch. After that, I was a very big fan of Brotherhood. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Thought that was really good. I'm a humongous fan of the Gundam series. One of the later ones. I'm not like a purist who sticks to like the Universal Century type stuff. So one of the latest Gundam series that I watched that I really enjoyed was probably Iron-Blooded Orphans. I don't know if any of you have seen that. Thought that story was really good. Brought some manly tears to my face a few times. I'm a humongous fan of One Piece, and I've watched it from like days of its inception to 20 years later.
That's a good one to be a fan of because you never run out of material.
Yeah. It might seem like the wrapping up the story now, but I don't know. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on as in the point of the story where they are right now. So One Piece. Well, let's see. Jeez.
Any current stuff?
Current stuff. My Hero. I watched.
Matthew swears by that show.
Yeah, no, that's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah,
or at least,
it's great.
One of my favorites that's right now.
It's great. I'm pretty sure you remember the battle between All Might and One for All.
Yeah,
the fist at the end.
Wait, let me take off my headphones.
Oh, you didn't watch it?
Not yet.
No, it's not a spoiler. It's just like after the fight, you see like an iconic fist and more manly tears coming out of
superhero
my
pose.
face.
Superhero pose. Yeah.
And then that one in the last season, that scene with Endeavor. Woo.
Yeah. Do you think Endeavor is going to become the next All Might? I mean, I know that's a controversial opinion.
Nah. He doesn't have a certain panache that All Might have. He didn't. He's definitely got like the technical skill, but like I don't think he has the charisma. He's not built that way.
No.
He just started showing emotions to his son. Like emotions to his son. I don't know if he's got what it takes to be the symbol of peace.
Who's your favorite here?
My favorite. Jeez. Obviously, big fan of All Might, but I think I also like Todoroki.
Yeah.
The half ice, half fire dude. He's good. And
Who's your favorite hero? Go ahead.
I also like Deku from time to time when he's not like destroying his body.
Now, who's your favorite hero in general?
In general,
period.
Ooh, the Silver Surfer. Just
Ooh,
that's a good choice.
I'm a big fan of him.
So Spider-Man has dropped.
I don't know. I wasn't really. I've always liked Spider-Man, but I feel like everybody's always grown up with a certain like affinity to Spider-Man. But if I'm talking like specifics based off appeal for me, it has to be the Silver Surfer. Granted, in reading like stories on him, they've been very what's the word? They can be overly dramatic, and like he's always seems like very lonely and like traveling space and very like
I guess
woe always me. I blew up planets and now I'm doing this type of thing. But there was
ways to surf.
there was a story that I read recently, maybe like last year. I think it was called Silver Surfer Black. I don't know if you guys have been up on like current Marvel stories, but they introduced the backstory of like the symbiotes, how they're supposed to be like evil and all this other stuff.
Yeah, like the symbiote king and everything.
Yeah, they introduced the symbiote king, right? And in the Silver Surfer Black story, I didn't read the one what led into this, but they're like falling through time. And him, Beta Ray Bill, and some other characters, he ended up sacrificing a lot of his power to get them out of like this time warp. So by the time it was his turn, he was out of energy, and he ended up like in the beginning or like the beginnings of the universe, where it's all black, all the planets are like very young, and he was on this planet. There was these guardians guarding his door, and he's trying to get answers, but at the same time, whatever's behind the door, I think it was kind of like calling him. So he ends up finding these guardians, and the door opens up, and he gets like pulled in by the god of the symbiotes, and he was about to get consumed, and he's able to like battle his way out with his cosmic power. But I think he got touched, and his hand is like black, and every time he uses his cosmic power, it like crawls up his I missed the part. He did get consumed, and he was covered by a symbiote, right? And he was about to get converted, but he was able to fight it off. But it was one of his hands was still covered in it, and every time he used his cosmic power, it would like creep up his arm, and he'd like slowly get controlled. And because that was on his hand, and because Null could like sense it and his cosmic power, he was being chased across the universe because he was bringing light. And Null was like the god of darkness, and he wanted to like eradicate all that stuff. So it was a very interesting story. The art style was great, and it was one of my more exciting Silver Surfer stories that I've read. Yeah, I know that was a long explanation, but
that was pretty good. I'm like, that's the story. I'm seeing everything you're saying.
Look into, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like Princess Mononoke, but Silver Surfer.
Yeah,
I was like,
film as well.
I got my favorite on
Batman.
When it comes to DC, that's my favorite. It's
when it comes to DC. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say when it comes to DC, it's Batman. If we're talking about a single individual, then it's Batman. When it comes to Marvel, it's Black Panther. But group wise, when it comes to Marvel, it is the X-Men. So group wise, in a group, who do you have? In Marvel and in DC.
In DC, I would have to say I'm a very big fan of the Green Lantern Corps. I think the stories that they produce in the past few years, well, more so, I've read more so like the last generation before they did like the New 52 and all this other stuff.
Yeah. Like the Jeff Johns run.
Yeah, so the Sinestro Corps Wars, Blackest Night, that kind of stuff. I thought that was very interesting since it expanded and you had like different Lantern Corps and different colors off the spectrum and stuff like that. I thought that was very, very interesting. And from Marvel, as far as groups are concerned, I don't know. I might be leaning towards the X-Men as well because I don't know. They're so diverse, and I think they've recently been brought back in. Like into comics, since what was it? Since they started getting more of like the movie rights and stuff like that back, right?
Yeah.
Because I know the same has been for the Fantastic Four as well. Because I realized that they weren't really producing any comics because they can capitalize off the movies, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Fantastic Four, I don't know if I like them that much.
Like big them up just to put them down.
Yeah, they to the credit of like that whole realm and within Marvel, they were used to introduce a lot, like Silver Surfer, Black Panther, and a whole bunch of other iconic characters. Right. But them as a group, I don't know. They got they're the
catalyst for other people.
Yeah, they're great at that. They're great at that.
Yeah.
But
they're the assist,
one other, I guess, redeeming quality for them would be Franklin Richards, the son, who's like super powerful.
Yeah.
And Dr. Doom. That's it.
Oh yeah, Dr. Doom. I was just looking at a picture of when he beat Galactus.
Oh
and
yeah.
I was like, man, like made Galactus look like a wimp.
I saw.
And he was out here eating planets.
I saw in that very same image, and I think on one of the panels there's like a talk bubble or whatever, and somebody wrote over it. I don't know what the original dialogue is, but the new dialogue for me was he said "F out of here" as he's walking away from Galactus beating body.
Oh man.
So we're on comic books. Have you guys heard the news happened earlier this week that DC laid off roughly half of their staff?
Oh no, I haven't seen that. That's rough. Jeez.
With everything going on with COVID?
I mean, we're not entirely sure what's going on, but like the DC Universe app, half the staff from that is gone. I think they reduced their editors from like 25 to 15 or something. But yeah, so the question is, are they going to stop producing comic books? Are they limiting their line? Is this the end of the DC comic book and they're just more doing the TV shows and stuff now? It's all kind of up in the air.
Jeez, that'd be harsh. I would assume that, seeing how the state of the world right now, more people would be reading comic books. Nobody can go anywhere. There's nothing open.
Yeah.
Everything is like online entertainment and things of that nature.
Not for nothing. Recently, I was just in a comic book store like 2 weeks ago, and mind you, first of all, it's still around. Number one, number two, like they were hustling and bustling. They had people in there like waiting for the line. There's only one cashier, but they're just waiting in line to get their stuff. I'm like, man, this is it gave me the feel like back when I was a kid going to the comic book store over there on 94th or 95th Street.
Right.
When that went away, I was devastated. I was like, what? How they closed the comic book store? That's my life, right? But again, that just goes back to the rent being too damn high.
I haven't been inside of a comic book store in a good few months.
Yeah.
And I think the last time I bought a comic was online. And it was only because I was trying to get the last issue of a specific story that they were doing in DC. What was it called? Doomsday Clock.
Where
they introduced so I was trying to get the last one of that. So as far as I have like a little comic book collection, but one of the main reasons it isn't larger is because I was like, where would I even put these things? All right. So I try to limit my physical copies of comic books to things I really want to collect or like stories I want to have. So that was the last story I made an effort to get. Before that, I think it was a Batman story, not Dark Knight's Metal, which I thought was pretty good. The ending was a little bit wonky, but
they're doing the sequel right now.
They are?
Yeah, Dark Knight Death Metal is what it's called.
They can't just leave stuff alone. Like I remember.
Hold on, let me put my shirt down real quick.
No. when I say leave stuff alone, for instance, they'll have like really iconic stories or like groundbreaking stories that do numbers, and because they do numbers, they want to like obviously capitalize on that, right? So you remember what was it, Infinity Gauntlet?
Yeah.
All right. Dark Knights.
Death metal. Yeah.
That was one of the main reasons I collected that, because they had really good covers for that.
Yeah.
Especially the what really intrigued me was you know how in Dark Knight's Metal they had evil versions of Batman.
Yeah.
So they had like one that had the powers of Doomsday, one that had the power of Green Lantern, one that had the powers of the Flash, right? I thought that was really Aquaman, right? Thought that was really interesting, and they had the one-shots origin stories of all of those, and I was able to collect the first prints of all of them, except for the one where he got the powers of the Flash. I got like the second print.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but I still got it anyways, and I thought that was really good. And it was the covers. The covers were one of the main reasons I ended up getting the physical copies of them as well. Some really good stuff.
The Batman who laughs, that's just going to be such an iconic character. Do you know about that one, T?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
They've been using him like a good amount too. I didn't intend to cut you off, but
No, you're good. I was just gonna say he's a Batman who gets poisoned by the Joker's gas, so he's a Batman with like his mind, but the Joker's twistedness.
Sense of humor.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been doubling down on a lot of Batman stories. There's been that, and I think another Batman story that I've been a big fan of was Court of Owls. I think the Court of Owls was really, really, really good. It's supposed to be like a secret society in Gotham City that Batman didn't even know about, but they had a lot of information on him, and they like put him through the ringer. And they're trying to. I think they had an animated movie that kind of like summed up the story they pull inspiration from the story, the comic book story, to the point where like you have the Court of Owls, and you have like certain individuals from it. I thought it was a good watch, but the comic book obviously had a better setup. Yeah.
Well, it has been real, my guy. It's always good to talk to you. Don't be a stranger. Hit us up sometime. We love to have you back on. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here once again with Najua Ward, model, just how we call it, media designer. Just everything you need. Everything
all around
you need,
good guy.
Get from this guy.
I'll be working out too, and I read
books. Fitness. Anime fan, everything. Again, good to see you. Good to hear from you. Keep doing what you're doing. Blessings. Stay up, and represent. All right, brethren.
For sure. Later, y'all.
Now, 1 second. Where can everybody see your work or get in touch with you if they're looking to?
Well,
and besides Disney Plus, because there's
I have a website where I post work from photography, graphic design, and videography, which is Najua Ward photography.com, or you can just follow me on Instagram, which is the same thing. Just type in Najua Ward or NAJUAWRD, and you should be able to find me on Instagram. Post a lot of my photography on there, like experimental stuff and things I find funny.
Yes, indeed. All right, brother. Until the next time. All right.
Peace.